Hi, I'm Scott Blossom, and this week I'm going to say a few words about a wonderful afternoon rejuvenation protocol that I have used for myself for a number of years now, as well as with a lot of patients over the years. And so, anybody who's new to me, my background is in both traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, which I've practiced clinically for more than 20 years. And so, getting into this, I want to set a little bit of context. And I always like to marry ancient knowledge with science, modern science, because they often reinforce each other in wonderful ways. So, in terms of the afternoon and rejuvenation, why this is a particularly good time of day to um, do something along the lines of a rejuvenating protocol is because during the period from about 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., um, our adrenals are at their ebb. So our capacity to produce adrenaline, to be stimulated, to respond to stimulation in a positive way becomes more limited at that time of day. And this is one of the reasons why many cultures have a mid-afternoon rest period built into their daily cycle of work and routine. And so in both traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, they associate this time of day with the kidney energy. And so it's interesting to understand that the adrenal glands actually sit right on top of your kidneys. In fact, that's what adrenal means. It means just above the kidney. Renal is kidney and ad just means above. So the adrenals live right on your kidneys. And so that's why these ancient medicines associated them with the kidney. In the Ayurvedic terminology, this would be the time of day when Vata was dominant. And so it's a good time of day to try to balance it out. And one of the primary ways to keep balancing Vata during the day is to relax. So there's some modern research that's come out of from UC Berkeley, which is my hometown, about how folks who take a rest or a nap in the afternoon are actually better at learning, remembering, and also have better mood regulation. And part of the reason that is the case is that if you're waking up in the early morning, by the time you get to this part of the afternoon, you've been up for several hours, close to 10 hours in a lot of cases for many people. And so your body is past kind of the peak of the day when it wants to be the busiest, and it's starting to prepare for the evening and the eventual return to the sleep state. So by having a very minor, you know, uh, dive into relaxation, it helps to signal that you're restoring yourself for what might be a little more work or some more hours of work, but it's also helping to break the kind of monotony of being in the kind of wakeful cycle, which is dominated by certain brain waves, attitudes, activity, stimulation. So here's the recipe. The recipe involves a weighted blanket. And so weighted blankets are sold at any of the big box stores. You can order them online. And what they are is literally a blanket where it's usually quilted and they've sewn sort of beads into the blanket to make it heavier. Typically, if you buy one, you can have them custom made. And the rule of thumb is to have them weigh about 1/10 of your body weight, but they're quite expensive when you have them custom made, unless that's what you want to do. And if you buy them in a general kind of store, like you will usually get a 12-pound blanket. And so, and that's sufficient, for most people, it works fine. And so the idea would be mid-afternoon when you start to feel like you want to take a rest, don't fight it, go with it, go get to a place where you can lie down, put the weighted blanket over you. Also cover your eyes with something that makes darkness. So I like just putting fabric over my eyes. In the yoga world, they'll use eye pillows. I like to recommend that if you're going to rest for 20 minutes or so, which is the ideal 15 to 25 minutes for something like this, I'm a fan of, if you're going to use an eye pillow, it's lightweight. Don't put a heavy one on your eyes for 25 minutes, because I just feel like that's uh, it could cause imbalances if you did it too often. And so darkness, maybe an eye pillow, and then the last part of it is hertz music. this is what I use. And so Hertz music, HZ is the shorthand for frequency. And so Hertz music has to do with the kind of music that's very specific around what frequencies are being transmitted. One of the probably the most common one is 528 HZ music. There's a number of different ones that exist, like 396, 417, numbers that go way up into the high, near 1,000, numbers that go all the way down into single digits. And so all of these different frequencies have coherence with different aspects of your body, and according to some traditions, with different organ systems. But we can say for certain that the brain waves, that the tissues of the body are always creating different frequencies. And so, for example, with 528 hertz, which if you go on YouTube, you can find lots of examples of this kind of music, and it tends to be sort of ambient or new agey kind of sounding music. It's instrumental. But with 528, they actually have discovered that this was the frequency that the sort of music of the spheres that was being created in Europe in choirs and in certain classical music. A lot of it was hitting into that range of frequencies. I've also discovered that your DNA resonates at 528 hertz. And so everything in your body and your mind actually has kind of a signature frequency. And so you can trust what you like and what feels good. I've experimented with many, many different frequencies, and I find there's a few that I find particularly reliable for deep relaxation and renewal. And so 528 happens to be one of them. I've also enjoyed 417 a lot, but really just feel free to explore. And so, so I'm wearing headphones. I have an eye covering. I've got the weighted blanket. If you want to soup this up, you might add like a hot water bottle to it. And that makes it, warmth and weight on your body always are soothing and relaxing. From the Ayurvedic tradition, this is known as sneha, which means adding a kind of affectionate heaviness to the body. And that could come, in the world as getting a hug from someone that loves you. It could be, in the Ayurvedic tradition, we recommend oiling the skin for that same reason. With babies, you swaddle them up to get this effect. So in a sense, you're kind of swaddling yourself, but then what you add to it is darkness, and then these frequencies that will help to shift your brain and your body from the frequencies that have to do with being awake and getting stuff done and being active and being stimulated to frequencies that are calming and will help you to rest. And so I've used it a bunch with patients. There's a lot of research around weighted blankets for anxiety issues as well. And so it's all these things have a certain basis, and I've just found that when you put them together, they work particularly well. And so yeah, so go out and be creative, make it as comfortable, warm, enjoyable as possible, but just highly recommend that you consider taking advantage of any dip in your energy in the afternoon between 2 and 6 to restore yourself, because the payoff long-term is just tremendous, and it can really help you to stay balanced and even keep your immune system a lot stronger. All right, so I hope that's helpful.